We are transforming Africa's trade indeed. That sits right well with me trying to explain to you what our theme is. We're powering trade, which is powering trade across the continent. But for this specific Namibian seminar, it's promoting African trade in a world of digital solutions. So throughout the sessions, you'll hear how everything we're trying to share ties in with the world that we're living in today that is really digital, and there's a lot of digital solutions that are going around to promote trade. So we'll go straight into our welcome address. We have with us Mr. Titus Ndove, who is the Executive Director from the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises here in Namibia. Let us give him a round of applause, and please come up, sir. Can we have a little bit more life? That didn't feel alive. I'm pretty...
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I trust you all can hear me very well. Let me go in the remark prepared for this very important seminar, not only for Namibia, but also for Africa. Mr. Sikongo Hayambo is the Executive Director of the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade. Mr. Masori Ikwa, the officer in charge of the Bank of Namibia, who is technically the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank. Mr. Haytham El Mayegi, the Executive Vice President of the Global Trade Bank at Afreximbank. Mrs. Gwen Mwaba, the Managing Director for Trade Finance and Correspondence Banking at Afreximbank. All other dignitaries and distinguished guests and colleagues, participants, members of the media who are present, you're all welcome and good morning to all of you. On behalf of the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises and the Government of the Republic of Namibia, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to our beautiful capital city, Windhoek, and to Namibia. We are honored to host this year the Afreximbank Trade Finance Seminar and Factoring Workshop, and extend our warmest greeting to those who have traveled so far to join us this week. Welcome, of course, everybody, even the colleagues from Namibia. Namibia is a land of immense natural beauty, rich cultural heritage, and warm hospitalities. And all of you can actually, after staying here for a couple of days, you will actually be the witness to what I just indicated. As you engage in the invaluable discussions and knowledge sharing that lie ahead, I encourage you to take some time off to explore our vibrant capital city, Windhoek, and which offers a unique blend of African and also European influences. As you can be seeing its market, historical landmark, and diversity in the culinary scene. Those who have a bit of time as well, as was indicated already by the Master of Ceremony, please spare some time, and I also encourage you to explore this land of wonders beyond the capital city, Windhoek. The Afreximbank operations has brought significant progress to Africa's financial and trade sectors. Through initiatives like Trade Finance Seminar, the Afreximbank has built a strong foundation for capacity building, equipping African professionals and institutions with the skills to navigate the complexity of structured trade finance. The bank efforts have been instrumental in strengthening the African economies, enhancing trade capacity, and providing important financial instruments that empower African nations to compete on a global scale. By supporting trade and project finance, Afreximbank plays a key role in advancing our shared vision of a prosperous and integrated Africa. And I just want to emphasize strongly that the Afreximbank is an African bank. And there's Namibia. Namibia is one of the shareholders, one of the owners of the Afreximbank, and we are really proud about that. Switching on to trade matters, the African continent accounts only for a small share of the global trade, and is estimated at mere 3%. And similarly, it's also characterized by low intra-African trade, with the continent trade dominated by export of raw materials. Or with most of the countries, there is no surprise, ladies and gentlemen, that the intra-Africa trade remains low, and will only improve once we start adding value and also beneficiate our commodities into finished products. As you all are aware, Namibia, for instance, have diamonds. Botswana has diamonds. If those diamonds not turned into jewelry, how can we trade? They have beef, we have beef. So we really need finished products basically for us to have tractions in terms of trading among ourselves. According to the UNCTAD study, by end of December 2023, just to illustrate how intra-African trade is very low, it's only stood at 14.4% of the total African exports, meaning the rest of around 84% go out of this continent. And just coming home for Namibia to illustrate, the numbers look a bit better with the National Statistic Agents of Namibia latest numbers for September 2024. The intra-African exports for Namibia account for 52%, and imports also almost as high, around 52% as well. And this is mainly in the SACU, in the Southern Africa Customs Union, the oldest customs union in the world, where really trades take place more, I think, on the relative basis in comparing to the rest of the continent. A long way to go, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, and we therefore should take advantages and opportunities by the instruments offered by the Afreximbank, and also, most importantly, by the African Continental Free Trade Area, which basically has been created to create a single African market by eliminating trade barriers and fostering intra-African trade. As we gather here today in Windhoek, we are reminded of the transformative impact the Afreximbank continues to have across the continent. Through initiatives like this that provides technical skills, enhance financial stability, and strengthen partnership, the Afreximbank has proven itself as a catalyst on the continent for growth and resilience. We therefore call on each participant to take valuable lessons from this seminar and apply them to drive economic growth and trade within our respective countries across the continent. By doing so, we can collectively strengthen Africa's trade landscape and also move closer to the future of enhanced and integrated trade across our continent. In conclusion, once again, I warmly welcome you all to Namibia, and may your time here be productive and be with memorable experience. I hope you will gather that connect you with people across the African continent and with Namibia. I thank you and enjoy everything.
Thank you very much. We indeed do share a shared vision of prosperity in Africa. So we'll go straight into our next speaker. We're going to have our keynote address from the Executive Vice President from Afreximbank, Mr. Haytham El-Mayegi. He is the Executive Vice President for the Global Trade Bank. Let's give him a round of applause.
So, hello and good morning. So, let me start now. Good morning. I think we're still starting today, but Your Excellency, Mr. Titus Ndova, Executive Director, Minister of Finance and Public Enterprise, Namibia, Mr. Missouri Ikoa, Officer in Charge, Bank of Namibia, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and colleagues. It's with heartfelt honor that I stand before you today to welcome you to Afreximbank Trade Finance Seminar under the theme Promoting African Trade in a World of Digital Solutions. Today, I wish to take this opportunity to illuminate the extraordinary prospects that lies ahead of Africa. By 2050, our beloved continent projected to experience unprecedented multi-parameter growth that will position it as the epicenter of opportunity and development in the world. This remarkable growth projected as our GDP is expected to increase by tenfold. There's no such growth around. I think we're the second after Asia. Projected that we will be driven by these immense resources that we're blessed with. We're blessed with human capital. We're blessed with natural wealth and resources, geological and cultural diversity, our drive for creativity. There's a lot of potential that lies ahead of us. So describing Africa as the land of opportunity is not an act of self-affirmation. It is the result of an objective and pragmatic analysis of our continent potential. With the youngest and fastest growing population, the largest share of arable lands, like 60% of the world total, and the immense natural resources and the significant growth, this is the land of opportunity, as we said. And I would also marry this with the perspective that we acknowledge that Africa facing a staggering import bill of 100 billion for food alone, and an indicator of the potential of the development that we can do, the value addition, the job creation that we can do within this agribusiness sector. Even on the other hand, if you look at the trade infrastructure, we have a deficit of 110 billion each year in Africa. This is opportunity for us to start to create jobs here, in everywhere, industry, construction, and push intra-Africa trade, as you've said, is just touching 15%. If you compare this to Europe, Europe is 60% trading among themselves. We only trade 15% among ourselves. It's a huge potential for us to grow. Having said that, trade is not just an economic activities. It's a lot of components. It's supporting the agriculture, processing, industrialization, packaging, supply chain. This is our role as trade professionals. It also serves as a vital bridge between the upstream, downstream activities, and then the whole thing is much bigger than just trade document flowing. We're changing the economy of a continent. Unfortunately, we're yet to fully capitalize on this potential. Currently, 80% of Africa global export consists of raw material, yielding minimum value addition and insufficient job creation. For example, some of the African countries export high-quality raw commodities at low prices, only to import transformed their own material version at a very much higher cost. The pattern echoes across Africa, and you see it everywhere. You see a lot of cotton getting exported from countries, and they import the same cotton as very expensive garments back. Oil, gasoline back, sugar cane, refined sugar back, cocoa beans, and the chocolate is back. And we just heard the example on turning diamond into jewelry. And you have no idea the multiplier on the spread that we're losing by not just doing this next value addition that we should be doing. And as we talk, the 100 billion annual food import bill is a direct consequence of our low intra-Africa trade. We find ourselves purchasing what we already produce, but at inflated pricing. However, we should not be perceived this as a deficiency. Rather, let's look at the glass half full. It's an opportunity for growth. It's a humongous opportunity for growth. And it's a humongous opportunity for us to attract investment in an area that is so needed now by our beloved continent. So Afreximbank, in the last 3 decades of continuous development effort and impact, stand uniquely positioned now to support such development with comprehensive trade and investment support solutions. Our delivered solution encompass direct lending, guarantees, trade and supply chain, advisory services, project preparation, syndication, treasury, trade, inter-Africa trade services, industrialization, export development. It's vast. It's like a supermarket of products to help Africa grow. And in the last 3 decades, our mission was strengthen the support of our countries who own the banks, businesses, and this resulted in an exponential growth in our balance sheet, which is actually helping us help countries more, aiming to achieve soon a historical milestone of $40 billion of balance sheet assets. This remarkable growth is basically linked to our expansion of our support to public and private sector across wide industries and agri-business, hard commodities everywhere. And for instance, in addressing the barriers that hindered Africa financial institutions from fulfilling their local and regional mission, Afreximbank had identified key challenges for banks in Africa. This includes the misconception of Africa risk by international investors, lack of access to international financial markets, negative country commercial balances that leads to FX shortage, and limited local currency liquidity. And in response, Afreximbank has designed and introduced solutions addressing those barriers to help banks, resulting in a visible benefits to African banks through our trade facilitation program, AFTRAF, we'll talk about it during the event, that provides confirmation, import guarantees, solution, and the African banks were able to facilitate their critical imports for machinery, critical raw material essentials for development, whatever they need for local industries, and this is relying on Afreximbank's risk undertaking with international banks. And since the launch of AFTRAF, Afreximbank has assumed a total of $9 billion in African risk to facilitate vital import and rapid development of countries, with systematic refinancing to alleviate working capital stress for the African banks and their customers. Today, more than 150 banks benefit from this product, and our goal is to increase the number to 500 banks by 2026, where whenever you go to Afreximbank, we will always have the way to take the risk for the African banks and facilitate the trade. Another critical observation made by Afreximbank in Africa's rudimentary industry base, which constrains ability to export value-added product, the support that this is needed in this area. The reliance on raw material export effectively transferred wealth to non-African countries due to the lack of local value addition. And with this knowledge, Afreximbank has engineered solutions to competitive funding for critical projects seeking affordable financing by developing international partnership with ECAs, DFIs, together with our partner banks in Africa for on-lending to African banks and corporates. We enable them to enhance their processing capabilities while retaining a fair share of value addition and creating jobs for local communities. But Africa's challenges extend beyond import. It's also export as well. And given Africa's imperfect ECA framework, it has been challenging for our economic operators to meet global demand for high-quality products made in Africa. Ask yourself how many African countries has a big functioning ECAs. And this is now our role to help. To address this, Afreximbank has expanded its capacity to act as Africa's ECAs through the country export program known as COEX Pro. These initiatives leverage Afreximbank's strong international reputation to act as a guarantor for African-made exports, supporting Made in Africa brand, thereby enabling African countries to increase their export proceeds and translating into greater disposable capital for local industrialization and development. Exploring countries are further empowered to meet their financial obligation with Afreximbank trade financing product with the pre- and post-export financing, allowing them to seize export opportunities, another area where we give a lot of support in. Furthermore, in the development vision, Afreximbank, in collaboration with our partner Arise and local governments, we conceptualized, financed, and operationalized what we term as special economic zones. and industrial parks. Some of you have seen the advertisement on the airplane. This industrial platform benefits from the unique fiscal and customs policy, financial structure, and operational mechanism. These are areas where we allocate as free zones for industries to start in, for international production to come to our continent. And with total disbursement of 1 billion and with an additional 1 billion underway, Afreximbank has successfully launched 5 industry-specialized economic zones, enabling those nations to harness their natural resources and optimize export proceeds and creating sustainable employment. Countries such as Togo, Benin, Gabon have shifted from exporting raw materials to achieving high value-added export by substituting their cotton export by garments, their wood export by plywood and furniture, and their soya bean by edible oil. The margins have dramatically increased. These countries are seizing the full potential of their natural resources now and benefiting from the economies and local communities from this shift. Afreximbank also is proud to extend the program to 7 additional countries and will continue to do so across our continent. Also, Afreximbank works with countries helping them harness the natural resources to raise capital needed for their development. And if you've seen what happened in China and Japan, China started with harnessing their raw materials, the resources, to start to develop capital for their development, and look at them now. And this means that we give special focus on labor-intensive industries to create sustainable employment and avail space for the country's SMEs to develop as feeding industries. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's theme is Promoting Africa in a World of Digital Solutions. A theme resonates deeply with me as someone who is captive by the transformative power of digital innovation. One of the most striking observations Afreximbank has made since the inception, how the adoption of digital solutions globally has drastically enhanced countries' efficiencies and competitiveness on the global stage. The contrast with Africa highlights with immense and unmatched growth potential within the digital landscape. Now is the time to heavily embrace digital solutions, as we will be left behind, especially as digital evolution accelerates at a remarkable pace. They're not waiting for us to catch up. We really run faster than them to catch up, because there is a difference in speed now. In line with our mission to contribute to Africa's digital transformation, Afreximbank has developed the Africa Trade Gateway, ATG, a comprehensive one-stop shop platform for African entities, governments, businesses, banks, exporters, importers. This platform enables sellers and buyers to list their goods and discover counterparts, avail opportunities also for banks across the continent to finance those transactions, opening new business for the banks, allow users to navigate the entire spectrum of trade operations, from market intelligence, counterparty verification, transaction closure, and make cross-border payments in local currency in partnership with Pan-Africa Payment and Settlement System, PAPS, where countries can now import and export their in their local currencies, which is a big shift for their balance sheet. The ATG, Africa Trade Gateway, is designed to meet Africa's trade and investment needs, offering essential tools such as Trader for accessing market intelligence, local regulation, navigate the Africa Free Trade Agreement, AFCFTA, to know how to use it best to your benefit. We have also MANSA for verification and establishing credibility with partners, and due diligence and KYC, ethics module on the same platform to facilitate e-commerce transaction, and any African entities involved in trade, banks, exporter, importer, can benefit from the ATG by getting verified, getting information, buying and selling, financing, and so on. The ATG platform also is strengthened by honorable mention of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, AFCT, and is done in conjunction with them. And the tool helped also Africa start to boost inter-Africa trade. This will build our global competitiveness and retain wealth within our continent. This also ultimately built enough capital for us to develop. We need to store the wealth here to be able to develop. In addition to this, Another critical component to our digitization effort is our ATG for supply chain, namely TradeLink, where banks are enabled, we enable you quickly to offer supply chain solution between your anchor big customers and your other mid or SME customers. And instead of going 3-4 years into developing such solution within your banks, it is a support that you can deploy this solution rapidly, get your anchor customers, and also help finance your SME at a much lower rate because you're shifting rates from the big customers to the small customer and so on. And I understand that you will talk about it more into details, how to deploy supply chain within your bank. So to truly promote trade in the digital age, we must build an inclusive digital ecosystem. This means fostering collaboration among governments, financial institutions, and the private sectors. Policies must be crafted to encourage investment in digital infrastructure, promote digital literacy, and ensure data security. Moreover, we must advocate for regulatory frameworks that facilitate than hinder trade. This involves harmonizing trade policies across borders to ease the flow of goods and service by creating more cohesive digital environment that can empower businesses to expand their reach and drive economic growth. As we move forward, I urge each of you to reflect on the role you can play in digital transformation. Whether you are a policymaker, a business leader, or an entrepreneur, your contributions are vital. Let us commit to collaboration and innovation together, sharing best practices and learn from each other. I think what's between us and greatness is now how can we collaborate together as countries. Together, we can create an environment where trade flourish, driven by digital solutions that are equitable and sustainable. The opportunity before us are immense, and our responsibility to seize them to the benefit of us all. In conclusion, Africa stands at the on the cusp of transformative era with strategic initiatives and collaborative effort together. Especially in the digital space, we can unlock our potential, drive sustainable growth for our continent. Together, we can seize the moment to redefine our economic landscape. Thank you. Make the best out of your 3-4 days ahead, and wish you all the best on the coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. That was very inspiring. I feel pumped. I want to hear if the room feels as pumped as I do. The two speakers have made me pumped. Are we pumped? Are we ready to learn power trade? Let's do this. So I think from what I hear, there's a lot of opportunity to grow Africa. And it's us. We own Africa. We need to do this. Let's grow our continent. From what I'm hearing, we're exporting raw materials. So we need to add value so that we retain some of that value on the continent. So today, today and over the next few days, let's see how we can learn and see the opportunities in how we can add value and increase the share of wallet that we're keeping on the continent. So our next speaker is going to give us a goodwill message. It's Mr. Masori. I tried to make it local. I hope I said it right. Ikwa, who is the officer in charge at the Bank of Namibia. Please let's give him a big round of applause.
Masters of Ceremonies, Ms. Ketiwe and Patrick, Mr. Titus Ndove, Executive Director at the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises, Mr. Sikongo Hayambo, Executive Director at the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, other senior government officials who I may not have mentioned, Mr. Haitham Al-Mayerki, Executive Vice President of Global Trade at Afreximbank, distinguished executives, captains of industry, including Mr. Bisi Uirab, I saw you in the audience, CEO of Namibia Airports Company. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a pleasure to be here today to deliver a goodwill message at the 24th Afreximbank Trade Finance Seminar on behalf of the Bank of Namibia. At a time when the world's economic landscape is shifting, Africa's trade ambitions are clearer and more essential than ever. However, we are not without our challenges. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AfTA, is a significant step, but we still face hurdles in lowering tariffs and lifting non-tariff barriers to trade. These challenges underscore the importance of trade finance, which have become more than just a tool. It's a catalyst for unlocking trade finance, which has become more than just a tool, which is unlocking economic potential and fostering deeper integration across our continent. This gathering today represents the unwavering commitment of African nations and financial institutions to overcome these challenges and reshape our trade landscape, allowing our continent to emerge as a powerful force in the global economy. Ladies and gentlemen, as central banks, our role in trade finance is that of an enabler. Trade finance facilitates payments for exports and provides importers with the necessary credit to fulfill trade orders. As you know, central banks oversee payment systems, supervise and regulate financial institutions, which are instrumental in trade finance. Central banks in Africa and beyond are expected to be critical in facilitating seamless cross-border payments for greater trade benefits. It is befitting that Afreximbank selected the Bank of Namibia to deliver a goodwill message at this seminal workshop. Trade finance instruments such as letters of credit and guarantees mitigate risks and enable businesses to engage in trade confidently. These tools are expected to increase trade volumes and spur economic growth by allowing countries to import essential goods and services and export products and services. When trade finance simplifies and secures business transactions, the continent becomes more attractive to foreign investors, and the capital inflow stimulates economic growth. I'm pleased that the program balances typical trade finance topics such as letters of credit and more contemporary issues such as unlocking the digital revolution in African commerce and the growing need for trade, fintech adoptions. Embracing digital transformation has the potential to reshape Africa's landscape. Advanced digital solutions can simplify and secure trade processes, helping to reduce transaction costs, streamline cross-border payments. By utilizing these technologies, we can improve transparency and efficiency in trade finance, ensuring that the smallest businesses can access credit and resources that they need to participate in international markets. This shift towards digitalization empowers micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, enabling them to overcome traditional barriers and engage more actively in regional and global trade. Many African enterprises, particularly MSMEs, experience challenges accessing trade finance due to insufficient credit history, lack of security, and complex documentation. Therefore, digital platforms linking buyers, sellers, and financial institutions can streamline credit assessments using alternative data like transaction histories and mobile payments to evaluate creditworthiness. Apart from tariffs, non-tariff barriers are a crucial impediment to trade facilitation on the African continent. The lack of trade finance is an essential non-tariff barrier to trade that constrains the full trade potential of AfTA. Therefore, it is essential that in implementing AfTA, attention is drawn to effectively eliminating tariffs and non-trade barriers to ensure meaningful liberalization. Banks assist firms in engaging in international trade, thereby minimizing risk and facilitating the seamless and secure flow of goods and services across our borders. In this regard, banks are not only expected to mobilize savings and allocate capital funds required to facilitate productive investments, they need to set up their participation in trade finance. Innovation and development in trade finance must be undertaken if countries are to take advantage of the opportunities offered by AFTA. The African Development Bank estimates indicate that only 28% of banks' total trade finance portfolios benefit MSMEs. This is ascribed to the high risk perception factor associated with MSMEs. This seminar is a suitable intervention in the capacity building domain. It should contribute to enabling trade finance, particularly for MSMEs, which lack the resources to import or export valuable goods in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, African central banks increasingly play a catalytic role in enhancing trade and unlocking economic opportunities. Work has begun to realize a lofty dream of the Pan-African Payment System, Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, PAPS. This is a step in the right direction and should positively enhance cross-border payments in Africa, thereby supporting increased trade volumes as anticipated in implementing the AFTA. PAPS will be especially valuable for MSMEs, as it will allow small business operators in Namibia, for instance, to purchase goods from Angola using the Namibian dollar without needing to convert to another currency like the US dollar. This eliminates additional exchange and settlement costs that MSMEs usually face. We welcome the gradual implementation of PAPS, starting with the integration at regional level. Within the SADC sub-region, good progress has been made by implementing the real-time gross settlement system, which was launched in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And the volume of trade settlement has increased from 142 billion South African rand in 2022 to 210 billion South African rand in 2023. The RTGS has served the SADC community very well. Excuse me. The RTGS has served the SADC community very well within the last 10 years, with South African rand serving as the settlement currency. A key activity as we advance in payment systems integration is to onboard other currencies in the system, which will broaden the number of settlement currencies accessible to the players. As technology advances, various platforms can be utilized to improve cross-border payments, including fast payment solutions and central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. We therefore see innovation playing a catalytic role in cross-border payments and capital flows, which play a pivotal role in Namibia's economic strategy, particularly through enhanced regional collaboration within the Common Monetary Area, or the CMA. By streamlining cross-border payments and processes, Namibia shall reduce the transaction costs and time delays associated with international trade, making it easier for businesses to engage with regional partners. In our region, we are collaborating within the CMA on how CBDCs can advance the payment integration agenda, and research is underway to provide answers to this problem statement. Additionally, Namibia is exploring an instant payment solution. Over 70 countries are implementing fast payment systems, and another 20 are in advanced stages, including Namibia. The solution will position the country to benefit from reduced transaction costs and increase access for all segments of the population, including rural areas and the informal economy. The fast payment solution can be leveraged to enhance cross-border payments, boost trade, provide greater financial inclusion. Ultimately, this should transform how businesses and individuals engage in the global financial system. These advances can be scaled to the continental level. So our fast payment system will be launched in the third or fourth quarter of next year, and it's really a solution that is trying to allow for affordable transactions and reaching all corners of Namibia. Gone should be the days where transaction costs are more than your basic necessities like bread and milk. We need to do away with those ones. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to paraphrase Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President of the African Development Bank, who says, trade finance is pivotal in steering Africa's long-term economic development and structural transformation. A powerful statement. Trade finance offers credit, payment guarantees, and insurance, facilitating the smooth exchange of goods and services while mitigating risks associated with cashless transactions. Trade finance provides, I'm confident that the knowledge and skills that you will gain from this workshop will enhance intra and extra-African trade, as an informed audience is better equipped to make impactful decisions. To our travelers who are coming to Namibia for the first time, welcome to Namibia. I hope you enjoy your stay and that you can see more than just Windhoek. Once again, I wish you a productive deliberations over the next 3 days. Thank you very much for your kind attention.